All right, good morning, council. I want to call this morning's docket. For those that are in the courtroom, I'm going to remind you that masks are required. Ask that you maintain all of your social distancing while in the courtroom and the public areas of the courthouse. That includes the hallways, the restrooms, the stairwells. The governor's order on the mask does not expire until Wednesday, so make sure that you're masked up. If everyone's wearing a mask now, if you need one, let us know and court staff can get you one. I'm going to call a docket. Some of you are present, some of you are in the court's online waiting room, and we're going to check you off. Once I get through the docket, then I'll start asking counsel who's ready, and we'll take the agreed matters first, and we'll move from there. Robert Kyle Greenlee. All right, Mr. Greenlee, thank you. I'll be with you in just a moment, okay? Tiffany Rankin. All right, good. Yeah, if you'll say present or here and raise your hand, that'll assist me greatly. Rosman Shannon appears to be present online. Thank you, Patty. Rachel Powell. Do not see Miss Powell online or in the courtroom. Stephen Flores. That's correct. Thank you, Ms. Oswald. Yes. So for the record, Stephen Flores, CR 2211, has been reset to March 11th for docket call. Ashley Olds. Ashley Olds is present online. CR 2351, State versus Donald Cameron Patterson. Miss Beasley has also been reset for pretrial on March 11th. Heather Hartman. Heather Hartman appears to be present online. Hunter Tapper. Mr. Tapper is here, and your attorney is present online, Mr. Tapper. Johnny Cooper. Johnny Jude Cooper Jr. This time I do not see Mr. Cooper online. I do have some unidentified iPhones, so we may have to come back and check that. Paula Glass. Thank you, Ms. Glass. Aurora Lamka.
Judge, I apologize. I just hung up with her and she had the wrong Zoom ID and she's logging in.
All right, thank you, Ms. Parker. Tiffany Stevenson. Tiffany Lee Stevenson. Do not see Ms. Stevenson logged in.
Judge, I believe she is going to be appearing via Zoom.
She could be unidentified, so we'll just have to wait and see. If you want to make contact with her and have her log out and log back in with her name, it'll probably speed up the process of me calling her case.
Yes, Judge.
Lindy Delaney. And I believe that Miss Delaney is online. Have her checked in. Tasha Morris, also online. Dylan Schroeder is appearing online. Byron Riddle. Mr. Riddle, the court has documentation that Mr. Riddle is hospitalized. Nevertheless, we will call that case for a setting purpose. Xavier Buccio. Thank you, Mr. Pointer. That'll be a plea today? Thank you, sir. Go ahead, then. Go ahead. Dakota Davis. And I believe that Dakota Davis is online. Bill Adams. You think he'll be here in person, or when he gets here, he needs to check in with pretrial release to sign some conditions of pretrial release. Adrian East. Mr. East is appearing online. Douglas Mercer is also appearing online. Wendy Paul.
Should be online. Got her yesterday.
We'll have to go through the telephone numbers. I don't see her name in here. John Rigney is appearing online. Amber Smith. Amber Joe Smith is online. Skylar Tanner is present online. Is it Cleela Roden or Celia Roden? Cleela? Thank you, Ms. Roden. Lori Burge or Berg?
Judge, the information I got that she was in a jail
Oh, that's correct. That's it.
in Wood County.
All right, Ms. Burge, verified in custody in Wood County. Okay, we'll call her in just a minute and get that set. Carlton Mitchell. I believe that Mr. Mitchell is supposed to appear online. There he is. Mr. Mitchell is present online. Craig Dickinson.
Yeah, he's probably will be a please day.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Joe Sanchez. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Cynthia Kane. I do not see her online. However, she could be unidentified. No, there she is. She's logged in. Okay. She is here. Cynthia Kane is here. Marcus Fowler. All right, Mr. Fowler, I want you to go check in with pretrial release department and speak to them about your delinquent supervision fees before I call your case. And Bobby Faulkner is confirmed in TDC.
That's correct, Judge, and I can make an announcement after the call of the docket on that case if you'd like.
Yeah, give me just one moment. All right, Mr. Wood, go ahead. This is cause number CR 20117, State versus Bobby Daniel Faulkner. And as the court had mentioned, we have confirmed custody in the Tennessee colony in TDC. And we were set for status of his custody today. Do we have any updates on that?
Judge, I know he's still in custody right now. Diana confirmed that. I'm not exactly sure right now when his release date is. I have been in discussions with Mr. Woodwike on this case. We've gotten, I think, what's going to amount to be almost a time served type of offer. It's just right now getting a hold of him over in TDCJ and then getting the paperwork, et cetera, figuring all that stuff out. Really, that's where we're at right now.
Do we know what charge he's being held on down there and what his expected parole date is or his sentence date through TDC Online?
I don't know off the top of my head, Judge. I think Diana might know. She's not in the office right now. She had a dentist appointment, so and I forgot to ask her all those questions. But I think the charge is is a forgery charge, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, are you available on April 15th?
Judge, I'm not going to be available then. We're going back to Pittsburgh that week. But I can be available probably the week before that or anytime before that, really.
What about April 27th?
That should work.
All right, let's set Mr. Faulkner then for another TDC status on April 27th.
Okay, Judge, thank you.
We'll just keep that at 9 a.m. until we figure out.
And if we can get something done before that, Judge, like I said, I'm trying to work towards that.
Okay, is that all you have this morning?
Judge, it is this morning. I do have one this afternoon, Mr. Turnage, and I was going to briefly talk to you about that one if you got a second.
Well, let me go ahead and take this morning's docket, and then I can, if you want to stick around, then let me clear the morning docket, and then we'll talk about the afternoon.
Okay, Judge.
All right, Mr. Stevens, talk about your individual who is in Wood
Yes,
County.
sir.
This is CR 2323 Lori Burge, and we were set for arraignment. So let's just reset her for arraignment. Today being the 11th, are you available? Do we know, is she being held in Wood County on this charge or some other charge? Are you aware?
Judge, I do not know, sir.
Okay. Are you available on either April 13th or 15th?
13th looks good, Judge.
All right, we'll set her for arraignment on the 13th and status on her custody, same date. Is that all you have this morning, Mr. Stevens?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, you're free to go. Good to see you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, to counsel that's present in the courtroom, do we have anyone that's agreed? I know that Mr. Pointer, I've got Mr. Buccio's plea, so I know that's agreed. What else do we have that's agreed?
Your Honor, we have an agreed continuance till next.
Mr. Hang on, Mr. Files. I need counsel that's present in the courtroom, and then I'm gonna call online.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
It's okay, no problem.
I've got two agreed reasons.
Okay.
I have a very short announcement.
Anyone else? And all right, Mr. Pointer, I'll be with you in just a moment. All right, Mr. Adams, go ahead. Who's your client?
Mr. Shannon.
All right, if you'll come on up.
Sure. The,
Hang on, let me bring Mr. Shannon in so he can be present. Joe, would you do me a favor? I need one of those podiums pulled out here, and I need that microphone pulled out. So that they can be present in front of this camera. You can just grab that microphone and that podium, that'd be fine. Mr. Shannon, can you see and hear me okay this morning? Yeah, you just get in front of the camera there to where you can be seen. All right, Mr. Shannon, raise your hand if you can hear me. All right, record will reflect Mr. Shannon is appearing online, raised his hand, can hear us. This is cause number CR 2363-364, State versus Rosman Renee Shannon. We're set for pretrial today. Mr. Shannon's appearing online. Counsel for Mr. Shannon's appearing in the courtroom. Your announcement, Mr. Adams?
yes, Your Honor.
Hang on, we're gonna need you close to the microphone or he's not gonna be able to hear you. There we go.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mitch Adams on behalf of Mr. Shannon. The state has extended the plea offer for Mr. Shannon. He and I have discussed that. And Mr. Shannon advised me he wished to reject the plea offer and proceed to trial. I would point out to the court that I have a motion for approval of approval of investigatory funds on file that I don't think has been identified. Other than that, pending the court's ruling on that motion, we'd ask that the case be set for a docket call at some point in the future that is far enough away to allow the investigator to do what he needs to do, assuming the court grants.
So no other contested pretrial motions at this time?
No other contested pretrial motions right now.
So your request is set for docket call, but out further so that your investigator can,
Talk to two witnesses.
shouldn't really be relevant to docket, should be relevant to jury trial. So I mean, we could set it for docket call and then set it for jury selection. Or are you saying you want to go right to jury selection?
No, I think a docket call prior to jury selection would be more appropriate.
Okay. All right. Go
I
ahead.
think docket call would be appropriate because if the investigator turns up some information that's relevant to the case that may assist in our negotiations as to some sort of plea resolution to this. I'm not sure what Mr. Adams' strategy is here. Obviously, that would not be within my purview, but if it turns up information, maybe exculpatory or mitigating something of that nature, the state would consider that in further plea negotiations. We would ask that plea deadline be extended such that that can be taken care of.
All right. The court will set Mr. Shannon then for docket call on April 27th. Do you have any conflicts on that date?
I don't think so, Your Honor, that far out. Let me double check just to be sure. 27th,
April 27th.
that's fine, Your Honor.
That'll give me time to review the motion for the investment funds. All right, Mr. Shannon, court's going to order you to appear before this court in person on April 27th at 9 a.m. Raise your hand if you understand. Record reflects that Mr. Shannon has raised his hand and acknowledges that he's due back on April 27th at 9 a.m. All right, Mr. Shannon, you need to stay in contact with your attorney, your bondsman, and your pretrial release officer, and you're free to go.
All I have on the court side today, would that be excused?
Yes, well, before you do that, I want to ask that you just check in with Ms. Tabraham before you leave to make. All right, Mr. Wyatt, if you'll step up, make your announcements. All right, and who are we making announcements on, Mr. White? Cynthia Kane. All right, let me bring her in. And then Marcus Fowler. Is Mr. Fowler here? All right, Mr. Fowler, if you'll step up to the middle post. All right, this is cause number CR 20-159-160, State versus Marcus Anthony Fowler, set for docket call today. Your announcement, Mr. White.
Your Honor, we would like to have this reset for another docket call. I believe the state agrees with us. We have not had very much time to negotiate on this case. We have received an offer. And in addition to contemplating that, we would probably be looking to see if we could try to negotiate something. This case has taken a while simply because not the initial lawyer on this, Mr. Cox.
And what is the offer at this point? And how long has that offer been extended to Mr. Fowler?
Well, I actually received the offer initially from Mr. Cox, the last day that he was working. To be honest with you, I was looking for another set of eyes to look at. And the offer that we got was the same one. However, I believe this House will agree with me that possibly at least another month of an opportunity to talk about this might result in something different than an announcement or jury.
State agrees?
Yes, Judge. Yesterday was the first time I spoke with Mr. White about this case. If he has additional information that he believes might persuade me to change the offer, then I'm happy to look at it. But after next month, we should have an answer for the court one way or the other.
All right, court will set it for one final docket call. I'll note that that'll make at least 5 months. No, that'll be 6 months since we've arraigned Mr. Fowler. So that'll be the final one. If there's no resolution by then we'll just set it for jury selection. And we're getting ramped up on the jury trial. So hopefully we'll start trying maybe 2 a month to get caught up. So maybe we can get Mr. Fowler his jury trial. Are you available on the 13th or the 15th, Mr. White? We can go April 1st, 13th, or 15th.
Let's see. I already have something on April 15th, so that's not.
All right, Mr. Fowler, your order to be back before the court on April 15th at 9 a.m. for docket call. All right, Ms. Kane, if you'll just raise your hand that you can hear me okay this morning. All right, record will reflect that Ms. Kane can hear the court and is appearing online. All right, this is cause number CR 2282, State versus Cynthia Sizemore Kane, and we're set for docket call. Mr. White, go ahead.
Your Honor, I received an offer yesterday on this. I believe that we will be able to negotiate an agreement on this.
Any objection from the state?
Judge, I would note this is the third setting, and also note that I believe that there is a issue with the charging instrument. I have a feeling that Mr. White and I can resolve this case, but there is an issue with the charging instrument at this point. So we would ask for an initial docket call to work out some resolution to either amending or refiling and a agreed resolution. We should have that done within the next month.
All right, court's going to reset Ms. Kane for docket call on April 15th at 9 a.m. Ms. Kane, if you'll just raise your hand that you acknowledge the court's order. All right, record reflects that Ms. Kane has raised her hand and understands that she's due back before the court on April 15th at 9 a.m. Ms. Kane, stay in contact with your attorney and your bondsman, and you're free to go. that all you have this morning, Mr.
I
White?
believe that it,
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Schmidt, do you have anyone that's present, ready, agreed?
I think, well, as far as green, I have, right now,
Who are you ready on?
should be ready on.
On who? All of them? Who do you have present in the courtroom?
Adams here.
All right, Mr. Adams, if you'll step up, please. Cause number CR 2283, State versus Bill Hardy Adams Jr. We're set for docket call today, Mr. Schmidt. Any announcements?
We are set for that, and, at this point in time, I have, I'm working with the state to complete on this case. We'd have any additional.
Any objection from the state? Is there going to be a plea offer?
Judge, there will be a plea offer. We have no objection to reset this case at this time. I'm so out of practice of standing when I talk to the Zoom hearings. I mean, no disrespect, Judge.
I know. All right, Mr. Adams, the court's going to order you back before this court in person for docket call. Mr. Schmidt, do you have any dates that you know you're coming back already on the court's docket? All right, let's set for April 13th at 9 a.m. And while Mr. Schmidt's filling out that notice of setting, Mr. Adams, you signed your conditions of pretrial release this morning. You've read over those and you understand them? Okay.
Judge, I put the original with Ms. Burns, his pretrial, here in a copy as well.
Okay.
Did you need Mr. Adams to leave the pretrial or just?
No, just assign his conditions of pretrial release. Well, Mr. Schmidt's getting ready for his next client, counsel that's online. Do any of you have clients that are present in the courtroom today?
Yes, Your Honor, Buck Files.
And who do you have present today in the courtroom?
Excuse me, Mr. Tapper.
Tapper, okay. All right, anyone else, counsel online?
Yes, Judge, I have Miss Glass there for a plea.
Miss Glass, okay. So Tapper and Glass, okay. All right, Mr. Tapper, if you'll step up, sir. All right, this is cause number CR 2371, State versus Hunter Tapper, and we're set for pretrial today. Any contested pretrial motions, Mr. Files?
No, Your Honor, there are not. We believe this will be ready to be disposed of next month. We have one issue that we are trying to resolve today, not with the state. It's a fact issue that we're trying to work with our counsel about client on. But if we can continue it for another month, we understand the state has no objection. We believe we can resolve it then.
All right, available, Mr. Files, on April 13th.
I believe my client needs to sign conditions of release. Just gave me a note on that. And April 13th. We have no conflicts on April 13th.
All right, Mr. Hunter is ordered back before the court for pretrial, or I'm sorry, for docket call rather, on April 13th at 9 a.m. Mr. Tapper, you have a copy of your conditions of pretrial release, correct? You do? Okay. So when you're done, I want you to just step back here with Ms. Burns and she's going to give you the paperwork and further instructions. At this time, you're free to go. Stay in contact with your attorney.
Your Honor,
Yes,
Your Honor, my legal assistant tells me,
go ahead, sir. I'm listening.
my legal assistant just told me we're supposed to be in your court on the 15th anyway. Is there any way we could do both of these on the 15th?
Mr. Tapper, yeah, can we get him back? Mr. Tapper, your attorney's asked for a different date. It's now going to be April 15th. All right, so not the 13th. We're going to change that notice of setting. So April 15th at 9 a.m. And will you give me a notice of setting? Let me fill that out for him. Go ahead, Mr. Tapper. We'll get this to you before you leave, okay? He comes back out, if you'll just have him sign that for me. All right, Mr. Files, we made that change April 15th, and we'll have him sign a notice of resetting. Is that all you have today?
It is. We appreciate the court's patience. We'll try to get it right the first time next time.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Glass. And Mr. Manning, did you say that this is going to be a plea today?
Yes, Judge. We've provided plea paperwork. And I believe Ms. Abraham or my client may have that.
Ms. Glass, do you have the paperwork? Have you seen any plea paperwork from Ms. Glass? All right, Ms. Glass, have a seat. We'll have to track down that paperwork. We're not quite ready. Mr. Manning, I don't know where the paperwork is. The only plea papers I have are on Buscio with Mr. Pointer. Mr. Pointer, you ready, Mr. Buscio? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Pointer, come on up. Mr. Pointer, come on up. Make you do the jig on the way up. I do have that, Mr. Manning. I found it right here. Worst place to put that is right in front of me. And they put it right in front of me. So we'll do Ms. Glass momentarily right after Mr. Buscio. All right, Mr. Buscio, if you raise your right hand. Sir, do you swear that the testimony you give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you may put your hand down, sir. Are you Xavier Alexander Buscio? And are you a United States citizen?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is in cause number CR 2106-107 and CR 2144. Mr. Buscio, do you read, write, and speak the English language?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been diagnosed with any type of mental condition? And in this case, you're represented by your attorney, Mr. Kent Pointer. Are you pleased with his representation of you? Good. Do you feel like you've had enough time to talk with him about your case and have all of your legal questions answered?
Yes, we spoke about it before. Yes.
All right. And is there anything about this paperwork that you've read over and reviewed with your attorney and that you've signed today that you do not understand?
No, sir, we explained everything.
Good. All right, Mr. Buscio, you are charged in CR 2144 by information with the offense of a Class A misdemeanor deadly conduct. That carries a range of punishment of up to 1 year confinement in the Van Zandt County Jail and a fine not to exceed $4,000. Do you understand that range of punishment? It appears that the plea agreement in this case is that you're going to plead guilty to that charge in exchange for the state's recommendation that your punishment be 1 day in the county jail, that you receive credit for that 1 day, that you receive a $3,500 fine, $240 restitution, and the state is going to consider unfiled possession of controlled substance in penalty group 3. In addition to that, it appears that the state is also moving to dismiss 2 other charges. I'm not sure what they are, but it's 107 and 106.
One is driving while intoxicated with a passenger, and one is possession of a firearm by element. Actually, the 2 charges that appear on docket for today. In agreement, hopefully, we are going to let, Mr. Rubio proceed on /A city and then dispose of the two felonies as both of them were, being offered to provide information on both sides.
All right, thank you, Ms. Heisel. Mr. Busio, is that your understanding of the plea agreement? Yours as well, Mr. Pointer? All right, I'm going to ask that if you're online, if you'll just mute your device until the time that I ask you to unmute. All right, Mr. Busio, to the charge of deadly conduct, Class A misdemeanor, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty? And Mr. Busio, are you pleading guilty to that offense because you are guilty of that offense and for no other reason? All right, the court will accept Mr. Busio's plea of guilt at this time. Mr. Pointer, any objection to the admission of States 1 stipulation of evidence? All right, States 1 is admitted into evidence and the court takes judicial notice of the defendant's judicial confession. Anything else from the state?
Well, as far as the fine, was the court given payment plan, that's a lot of cash.
What he'll need to do is go and meet with the court compliance officer at the end of the hallway and discuss with her about setting up a payment plan if he can't discharge all of it today.
Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Busio, I see here that throughout your paperwork, you've put your signature on various documents. Would you swear to me that that's your true and correct signature and you've only signed after understanding what you've read? I'll take a moment to review the evidence. All right, based on the court's review of the evidence, I find that there is sufficient evidence to convict the defendant of this offense. The court will follow the plea agreement in this case. The court convicts you of the Class A misdemeanor offense of deadly conduct, assesses your punishment at 1 day confinement in the county jail. The court will award you 1 day for credit for time served. Court assesses a fine of $3,500, orders you to pay $240 restitution. Court also orders you to pay $15 reimbursement fee. Mr. Busio, you hereby remanded to the custody of the Van Zandt County Sheriff so we can carry out the terms and conditions of your sentence. In just a moment, I'm going to have you step forward to be fingerprinted with my bailiff. After that, I need you to report at the end of the hall on the left and speak with Miss Bonnie LaPrade regarding setting up arrangements for you to pay off everything that you owe in this case. Do you understand? All right, Mr. Busio, if you'll step forward, my bailiff here. I've got 2 motions to dismiss to hand to you. Mr. Greenlee, if you'll step up to the middle, sir. Mr. Manning, I'll have you on deck with Ms. Glass in just a moment.
Yes, Judge.
All right, this is cause number CR 1895, State versus Robert Kyle Greenlee. Mr. Greenlee, if you'll raise your right hand. Sir, do you swear that the testimony you give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you may put your hand down. Mr. Greenlee, you're currently on community supervision here in Van Zandt County, aren't you? And I have before me a request to amend your conditions of probation to extend your period of supervision from March 12th of this year until March 11th of next year, 2022. Why are you asking the court to extend your community supervision?
Well, Your Honor, I filled all the obligations of my probation other than paying my court costs and all my probation fees. Now I'm just asking for more time to pay those so that I could get everything taken care of. And all the mixed incomes that made it.
Thank you, Mr. Greenlee. All right, court will approve the amendment to your conditions of community supervision. Court will extend that period and it will now expire on March 11th, 2022. The court will waive the new supervision fees and new urinalysis fees during that time period. I'm gonna have you step over here and have a seat, and Ms. Burns will get some of this paperwork and she'll give you a copy and you'll be free to go. Okay, sir? You're welcome. All right, Ms. Glass. My apologies. Mr. Manning, are you ready?
Yes, Judge.
All right, Ms. Glass, if you'll raise your right hand. Ms. Glass, do you swear that the testimony you give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you may put your hand down. I want you to speak up loudly and clearly into that microphone so I can hear you. I want Mr. Manning to be able to hear you and my court reporter so she can hear you as well, okay? Can you see her okay, Estella? Okay, if we need to move that, you'll let me know. All right, this is cause number CR 2250, State versus Paula Jonelle Glass. Ms. Glass, are you a United States citizen? Do you read, write, and speak English? Have you ever been diagnosed with any type of mental condition? In this case, you're represented by your attorney, Mr. Jonathan Manning. Are you pleased with his representation of you? Do you feel like you've had enough time to talk with him about your case and have all of your legal questions answered? Is there anything about the paperwork that you've reviewed and signed today that you do not understand? Mr. Manning, the paperwork that I have does not have it doesn't have any signatures of Miss Glass. Okay, she's not signed any of this paperwork.
Your Judge, I instructed her to go to the court coordinator's office and sign those prior to. I apologize for any mistake, and we'll get those signed up right away.
All right, just go ahead and have a seat, and we'll bring the paperwork to you. Mr. Schmidt, would you be willing to assist Mr. Manning? Ms. Glass, Mr. Schmidt, attorney, is going to assist you with some paperwork. Thank you, sir. And then real quickly, do you want to make an announcement on Mr. East? I have Mr. East online and he's ready to go. All right, let's do that real quick. Mr. East, I'm gonna ask that you unmute yourself at this time and prompt you. Come on a little bit more with that podium if you don't mind. Maybe a little bit towards the middle. I just want her to be able to see the defendant. There we go. All right, Mr. East, how are you today, sir?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
I am doing fine. I'll call your case real quick. Mr. Schmidt is here in court with me. This is CR 20-244, State versus Adrian LaDon East, and we're set for docket call, Mr. Schmidt.
In process, and that was, I guess, proud in the process of laying out to him, hopefully for a resolution from that transition.
Any objection from the state? All right, Mr. East, do you live in Louisiana? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there a request at this time, Mr. Schmidt, for him to appear in person or appear in Zoom on the reset?
As of right now, I asked that he be around here by Zoom. Obviously, we resolve that one here in person, but I think at this point, we'd ask for Zoom.
All right, Mr. East, the court is going to set your case again for docket call on April 13th at 9 a.m. and you will appear via Zoom that day. Mr. Schmidt will have the Zoom ID number for you, and you can also get that from the court. So April 13th, 9 a.m. via Zoom again, unless Mr. Schmidt directs you otherwise. If he resolves your case, he may need you here. If he tells you to be here, then you'll be here to sign the paperwork. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're free to go. Stay in contact with Mr. Schmidt and your bondsman.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Schmidt, do you want to announce on your other clients before you deal with Miss Glass? See if we can get Douglas Mercer. Just hold what you got, Mr. East, and I'll remove you.
Oh,
He's gone. All right, Mr. Mercer's getting logged in. I'm gonna go ahead and try to bring in several of your clients, and we'll see who's ready and who's not, tech-wise. All right, good morning, Mr. Mercer. Can you see and hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent. This is cause number CR 2264, State versus Douglas Keith Mercer, and we're set for docket call today, Mr. Schmidt. Any announcements?
Judge, I'll make the same announcement that received an offer from the state on Mr. Marshall's case this morning. And then I had an opportunity to wait and ask for an additional document.
Any objection from the state?
No objection.
All right, Mr. Mercer, the court is going to set you for a call on April 13th at 9 a.m. I'm going to order you to appear in person on that day. And Mr. Mercer, I'm also going to order you to report to your trial release officer before 5 p.m. tomorrow. I show that you're delinquent on supervision fees, you're delinquent on attorney fees, you're delinquent on your drug testing. So I'm going to have you report to the pretrial release officer before 5 p.m. tomorrow. They're going to close. They're going to work 8 to 5. All right. So either sometime before 5 today or 5 tomorrow, I'm going to order you to report. And when we come back on April 13th, I'm going to want to have some type of announcement from my trial release officer that you are starting to make your payments and doing what you're supposed to do. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Stay in contact with Mr. Schmidt and do what I ordered you to do with your pretrial release officer. And we'll see you back on April 13th. If you fail to meet with your pretrial release officer's order on April 13th, you're going to go to jail. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're free to go.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mr. Rigney, are you ready, sir? If you can unmute your device for me.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right. This is cause number CR 2307, State versus John Brendan Rigney, and we're set for pretrial today, Mr. Schmidt.
We are, Judge. I've received a discovery. We've been working with the state on some other evidence. At this point in time, I don't believe that additional evidence is going to affect the pretrial nature of the case. We'll go ahead and announce that we have no contested pretrial at this point and ask that we send pretrial.
All right. Court sets Mr. Rigney for docket call on April 13th at 9 a.m. Mr. Rigney, you will need to appear in court that day in person. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. April 13th.
April 13th at 9 a.m. And this will be the only notice you receive from the court. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll see you back on April 13th. Stay in contact with your bondsman and Mr. Schmidt, and you're free to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Good morning, Ms. Smith. If you can unmute your device for me.
Hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you see and hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is cause number CR 2367, State versus Amber Joe Smith, and we're set for pretrial today. Mr. Schmidt, go ahead.
We are, Judge. We want to test the pretrial. We received an offer from the state. Ask the matter be set for the docket call. And also, Ms. Smith will be contacting me along this week. She should have the contact information so we can discuss resolution of her.
Did you hear that, Ms. Smith?
It's hard to hear him. I can't hear him at all.
Okay. Mr. Schmidt has indicated he is asking you to contact his office this week so that he can discuss your case. And we're gonna set you for your next court appearance on April 13th at 9 a.m. for docket call. And you're gonna be required to appear in person on that date. Do you understand that?
Is there because I live out here towards Austin now. What if I don't have a ride? Is there any way that I could like appear court here and do it like at this courthouse and do it via satellite or anything like that?
I want you need to take that issue up with Mr. Schmidt, okay? He'll advise you on that. You speak with him about your case and then we'll cross that bridge if we need to.
Okay.
Okay, so on April 13th, 9 a.m., I'm gonna expect you to be here in this court, but you speak with Mr. Schmidt if there's logistical issues, and if there is, he'll present those to the court, and the court may allow you to appear via Zoom if it's necessary.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Smith, stay in contact with your bondsman and your attorney. Contact him this week as he's requested, and you're free to go.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Tanner.
Morning, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Knoll. While we're waiting on Mr. Tanner to get connected, Mr. Gimbel, are you ready on any of your clients? No, it's just, I'm waiting to see if Mr. Tanner connects. He's in, but he's not turning on his video or his audio.
Am I unmuted now, Your Honor?
Oh, yes. Good morning, Mr. Gimbel. Are you ready on Ms. Hartman?
Spoke to Ms. Hartman on Friday. I think she's appearing online today.
Yes, she is. Let me bring her in. Give her just a moment. It appears that she has connected to video. We're going to let her connect to audio. Yes, Mr. Schmidt, go ahead and speak with Ms. Glass, and we'll see if Mr. Tanner gets connected. All right, good morning, Ms. Hartman. I think you can hear me now. I'm going to ask you to unmute. I'm going to prompt you through your device if you'll click that button.
Okay.
All right, good morning, ma'am. Can you see and hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. We are in cause number CR 20-340, State versus Heather Lee Hartman. And Ms. Hartman, if you can't see your attorney, Mr. Gimbel, you may have to swipe left or right on your device. There's multiple attorneys involved in the hearing today, but he is present. Mr. Gimbel, any announcement? We're set for pretrial today.
We have no pretrial matters at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. There being no contested pretrial motions, the court will then set this for docket call. Do you know when you're going to be back on the court's docket? That would be convenient for you, Mr. Gimbel.
I heard some previous announcements. You asked for settings on the 13th, April 13th.
Yes, sir. Yes, I do have that available. Do you know, are you scheduled to be back in court on that day or any other day?
I have several that afternoon.
Okay. All right. We'll set Ms. Hartman then for pretrial. I'm sorry. We'll set Ms. Hartman for docket call on April 13th at 9 a.m. Ms. Hartman, you live in Mississippi, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. At this time, the court will grant you permission and authorization to appear via Zoom that day for a docket call. If Mr. Gimbel and you work out your case with the state and you're going to enter a plea on that day, then if Mr. Gimbel tells you that you need to be in court that day to fill out paperwork, then that's what you're going to do. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I want you to stay in contact with your bondsman, stay in contact with Mr. Gimbel, and we'll see you back on April 13th at 9 a.m. via Zoom.
Yes, sir.
All right. You're free to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have this morning, Mr. Gimbel?
That's all I have this morning, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes. Mr. Sanders, who do you have? You have Dakota Davis, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
All right, let me see if I can find Mr. Davis here. Give him just a moment. He's connecting to audio. Mr. Merlier, I'll have you on deck. I knew you were there. I didn't want you to think it was out of sight, out of mind. All right, good morning, Mr. Davis. I'm going to prompt you to unmute your device. All right, can you see and hear me okay this morning, Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is cause number CR 2329, State versus Dakota Davis. We're set for pretrial today. Mr. Sanders, do you have any contested pretrial motions?
No, Your Honor, we don't have any pretrial issues. We have the discovery and an offer, and we just asked to have it set for a docket call.
All right. Is there a date that's better for you on either April 13th, 15th, or 27th?
I'd say the 15th would be good.
All right. Court sets Mr. Davis then for docket call on April 15th at 9 a.m. And Mr. Davis, you'll appear in person that day in the courtroom. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. So stay in contact with your bondsman and Mr. Sanders, and we'll see you on April 15th at 9 a.m. You're free to go.
All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is that all you have today, Mr. Sanders?
Yes, it is. That's the only one.
Do you have anything this afternoon?
Nope. No, but I'll be seeing you on Thursday.
All right. We'll see you soon then. Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
You too. All right, Mr. Murrah, leader on, let's do this. Let's bring in, we'll go down your list. Let's try Delaney first. Tell you what, I'm gonna try to bring in all of yours, Delaney, Morris, and Schroeder. All right, good morning, Ms. Delaney. I'm going to ask that you unmute your device. Okay, can you see and hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, make sure you speak up as loud as you can so that my court reporter can take down what you say. This is cause number CR 2399, State versus Lindy Cherie Delaney, set for pretrial today. Go ahead, Mr. Murleader.
Good morning, Judge. The last time, Your Honor, that we met was in January when I asked for additional time to meet with Ms. Delaney and to review the discovery. Since then, we haven't been able to meet. I learned recently that Ms. Delaney was diagnosed with COVID-19. I sent an hospital note to the criminal coordinator this morning. Judge, Ms. Delaney has first-degree felony offense case of manufacturing delivery.
And Mr. Murleader, let me stop you. I don't know if it's your end or my end, but you're real choppy. Let me try something here. Let's see. All right, I'm going to ask you to unmute again. All right, let's try it again, Mr. Murleader. Go ahead with, I think the last thing I heard was she's charged with a first-degree felony.
That's correct, Your Honor. She's charged with a first-degree felony offense of manufacturing delivery. I have all the discovery from the district attorney's office, and Ms. Heisel had given us a plea offer that Ms. Delaney had rejected. At this point, Judge, I just need to meet with Ms. Delaney and review the discovery with her and make one final attempt to resolve the case before announcing for a docket call. So I'd ask for one final pretrial in Ms. Delaney's case, Your Honor.
Any objection from the state? No. All right, there being no objection, the court will reset Ms. Delaney. Are you available on the 13th, Mr. Murleader? April 13th?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Delaney, the court, and can we do that under a docket call setting, Mr. Murleader, or does it need to be a pretrial setting?
Judge, I'd like to have the ability to file pretrial motions if we are going to contest this case. We'd ask for a pretrial, Judge.
Have you received all the discovery though?
Yes, I have.
So today, 7 days prior to today was the deadline to file pretrial motions. So if you want to contest it hearing, you're going to need to file a motion and ask for leave from the court to file that under the statute. So I'm going to go ahead and set this for docket call. And then if you feel the need for a contested pretrial, then if the state agrees, then we'll get it set. If they don't agree, then we'll have you file your motion for leave and you can show good cause. Okay.
Yes, Judge.
All right. So we'll set this for docket call on April 13th at 9 a.m. And Ms. Delaney, I'm assuming that you'll be feeling better on that date. So I'm going to order you to appear in person on April 13th. The only other issue we need to take up, Mr. Murleader, is that she is delinquent over $500 in her pretrial release fees. So Delaney, when you are medically cleared by the doctor and you're not deemed to be contagious, then I'm going to ask that you report to the pretrial release department and make some payments towards that delinquency. And I would ask that you call them today and you set up a time. You tell them when you think you'll be available health-wise and set up a time to go in and make some payment on that delinquency. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Hope you get to feeling better. We'll see you back on April 13th in person in the courtroom. And you're free to speak. All right. Court calls CR 2220, State versus Tasha Jean Morris. We're set for docket call today and also status on the court's ruling on the defendant's motion to suppress. Mr. Murleader, I have not completed my review in that case yet. So I'm just going to set this for another docket call and status on the court's ruling on the motion to suppress for April 13th. So Ms. Morris, I'm going to order that you appear before the court in person on April 13th at 9 a.m. And we'll take up the motion to suppress that day along with docket call. You understand? Okay. Court's going to note that you're nodding your head in acknowledgement. So we'll see you back on April 13th. Need you to appear in person that day and stay in contact with your attorney and also your bondsman. All right, you're free to go. All right, Mr. Schroeder, if you'll turn on your device and unmute your device.
Yes, sir.
And I'll need you to start your video. I'm going to help you. All right, Mr. Schroeder, this is cause number CR 2310, State versus Dylan Andrew Schroeder, and we're set for docket call today. Go ahead, Mr. Murleader.
Judge, there are 4 overall cases, 3 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. Mr. Schroeder is indicted for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon in 2 cases, CR 20-00310 and CR 21-00037. That 3-7 case was recently indicted and it has not yet been arraigned. I have received the discovery for the 2 indicted cases that are currently assigned to me. There is 1 indicted case that has not yet been assigned to me. The state has informed me that has been indicted. It is an assault family violence with a previous assault family violence conviction, a 3rd-degree felony. I haven't received the discovery for that, Your Honor. Judge, we would ask for additional time to get that. I believe Mr. Schroeder was given a plea offer of 10 years TDCJ from the state. Mr. Schroeder has rejected that for all cases. So we don't have any plea offer on the table, but I haven't received discovery for the 3rd and final case. However, I don't have any pretrial for the case that's currently set for today and the 310 case.
Well, I show that 310 is set for docket call today. Tell me the new cause number again.
CR 21-00037.
And what level charge and what's the offense in that case?
Aggravated assault with deadly weapon, 2nd-degree felony.
Yes, Mr. Woodward. And can you do me a favor, step up to the podium so that he'll be able to hear you.
Judge, there's also CR 21-00038. That is assault, family, household member with a previous conviction. That's a 3rd-degree felony that has been indicted. And then there's a criminal mischief that is in the county court of law.
And Judge, I believe that the assault, family violence with previous conviction is the case that Mr. Murleader is referring to not having received discovery on yet. I will send that to the portal, but just so he's aware, it's the exact same discovery. It's a duplicate case with the ag assault. They arose out of the same course of conduct.
Did you hear that, Mr. Murleader?
I did, Your Honor. And Judge, if the court would appoint me on that case as well, I'll be able to try to resolve all those cases at once. But for today, as a docket call for 310 case, I have no pretrial or any other announcement other than just register.
All right, Mr. Murleader, I see that CR 2137, and I'm assuming that 38 is going to be the same way, is set for arraignment on March 25th. What I'm thinking we could do is if you're going to if you can do a waiver of arraignment on Mr. Schroeder, we can do one of 2 things. You can do a waiver and we can set all these cases together, or we can go ahead and arraign Mr. Schroeder today on the new cases and set them all at the same time. Do you have a preference?
I'd like to meet with Mr. Schroeder and review all the discovery, and we'll file a waiver, Judge, and then have it all set together.
Okay. So what we'll do on this case here is I'll set this for an additional docket call so that we can get the cases on the same setting. And we'll set for April 13th. So if you file a waiver on the new cases, then just ask that pretrial be set on the 13th. Okay. Well, that's Mr. Woodward. All right. So, Mr. Schroeder, you're going to be ordered to appear before the court on April 13th at 9 a.m. And Mr. Schroeder, I'm going to order that you report to the pretrial release office before 5 p.m. tomorrow to sign your conditions of pretrial release. You understand that's in the probation department? So I'm going to give you till tomorrow before 5.
Yes, sir.
Really around before 4, because if you show up at 5, they're going to be closing at 5. So you need to show up, before 4 or at 4 to sign your conditions of pretrial release. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're free to go. We'll see you back on April 13th.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Merlito, does that conclude your clients for the day?
Yes, Judge. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Do you have anything this afternoon with us?
I do not believe so, Judge.
Okay, great. Have a good day, sir. All right, are we ready on? All right, Mr. Manning, I believe that. Ms. Glass? Thanks for your help. Ms. Glass, is the third time a charm? Let's hope, right? We'll try it again. All right, I believe that I've already placed you under oath. I believe I asked you a number of questions regarding your ability to read, write, and speak English. And I've asked you if you've ever been diagnosed with a mental condition. You told me no. Is that correct? You understand that you're still under oath today? All right. All right, and let me ask you this. Are you pleased with Mr. Jonathan Manning's representation of you in this case? Do you feel like you've had enough time to talk with him about your case and have all of your legal questions answered? And I'm sorry, Estella, for your transcript at CR 20-250 State versus Paula Jonelle Glass. Is there anything about this paperwork that you've read and signed today, Ms. Glass, that you do not understand? All right, Ms. Glass, you are charged by indictment with an offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 less than 1 gram, which is typically a state jail felony offense. However, in this case, the state has filed an enhancement paragraph, which would elevate your punishment level to that of a third-degree felony offense, which carries a range of punishment of not less than 2 years or more than 10 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and a fine not to exceed $10,000. Do you understand that range of punishment? All right, and it appears that their plea agreement in this case is that you're pleading guilty to that charge in exchange for the state's recommendation that your punishment be assessed at 3 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice and a fine of $2,500. In addition, you would have court costs of $290, restitution of $180, and a reimbursement fee of $35. And the court, under this plea agreement, would give you 7 days credit towards your sentence for the time that you spent in jail in this case. Is that your understanding of the plea agreement today? And that's what you want to do, and that's what you're asking the court to do. Is that correct? All right, Ms. Glass, at this time, then how do you plead to that charge of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 less than 1 gram, a third-degree felony? And Ms. Glass, are you telling me that you're guilty because you are guilty of that offense and for no other reason? And Ms. Glass, has anyone threatened you or forced you or pressured you to plead guilty to this charge? All right, the court will accept Ms. Glass's plea of guilt. Mr. Manning, any objection to States 1?
No objection.
All right, states one is submitted into evidence and the court takes judicial notice of the defendant's judicial confession. Is there anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
From the defense? Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I'm gonna take just a moment to review the evidence. All right, Ms. Glass, I need to also ask you, with regards to the indictment in this case, the state has alleged an enhancement paragraph, and you've had an opportunity to review the indictment with your attorney, Mr. Manning, is that correct? And so you're familiar with this allegation from the state of Texas that you've been previously convicted of a felony offense in Smith County, is that correct? And it looks like you've been alleged to have committed 2 felony offenses and been convicted of each, both in Smith County prior to your commission of this offense. Is that correct? So at this time, Ms. Glass, I would ask you, are the allegations contained in the indictment in these in the second paragraph, are those allegations true or not true? And are you pleading true to each one of those, because each one of those are true? All right, thank you, Ms. Glass. All right, based on the court's review of the evidence, I find that there is sufficient evidence to convict Ms. Glass. Court hereby follows the plea agreement in this case. Court convicts her of the 3rd-degree felony offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 less than 1 gram. The court assesses her punishment at 3 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division, assesses a $2,500 fine, orders her to pay restitution of $180, $290 court cost, and a $35 reimbursement fee. The court awards Ms. Glass 7 days credit for the time that she has spent in jail on this charge. Is there anything further, Mr. Manning?
No, Judge, I'd just like the record to reflect that Ms. Glass and I were able to go over the paperwork page by page, and I was able to answer all the questions she did have on those.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Glass, do you have any more questions or anything that you need to tell the court? All right. All right, Ms. Glass, I hereby remand you to the custody of the Van Zandt County Sheriff's Office so he can carry out the terms and conditions of your sentence. I'm going to have you step forward with my bailiff to be fingerprinted, and then the bailiff's going to take you into custody at this time, okay? Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Manning, let's see. Ms. Halamka, you're in the courtroom, correct? If you'll come up to the center podium, please. This is cause number CR 20165, State versus Aurora May Halamka, and we are set for docket call today. Go ahead, Mr. Manning.
That's correct, Judge. We're ready to proceed to the jury trial docket.
All right, so has an offer been extended by the state in this case?
It has, Judge, and we've rejected it.
Okay, and what was that offer?
It was for state jail time.
All right, and is your client aware that if the court passes docket call today that and places Ms. Halamka on the jury selection docket, that if she changes her mind and wants to enter into a plea agreement with the state, or the state makes their offer better, there's a chance that the court would not entertain that?
I've explained that to her previously. Yes, Judge.
All right, court will place Ms. Halamka on the court's jury selection docket beginning April 5th. So Ms. Alamka, what's going to happen from here on out is you're going to report to the courthouse in the basement on April 5th at 8:30. And a member of the court staff will be down there to direct you further. Mr. Manning's not going to be required to be here until your case reaches the court's top 10. And then at that point, he'll be here and then we'll decide if your case goes to trial on that date. It's very likely that you'll continue to do this every other week or monthly until your case is reached for trial. Do you understand? Ms. Halamka, I'm going to also order you to report to pretrial release today. I show that you're delinquent $300 in your fees. And I want you to speak with them about getting that corrected. Okay.
I'm gonna make a payment as soon as I may have one.
Okay, good. All right, so let me get a notice of setting. Ms. Heisel, can you assist me real quick? Can you give me that whole stack of notice of settings and my bailiff he's being worked to death today. I got him running around. Here, go ahead and put 21 on that. All right, Ms. Halamka, Ms. Tabraham's going to bring you a notice of setting. Once you sign that, we'll give you a copy and then you'll be free to go. Is Ms. Stevenson here? Tiffany Stevenson?
Judge, I believe she's on Zoom. She said she's been logged in since 8 a.m.
We'll see if her name is iPhone.
I have her number as well if you need to look that up.
Well, it doesn't give me the number. Are you Ms. Stevenson? Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to unmute your device.
Yes, sir.
You are Ms. Stevenson?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Stevenson, you can do yourself a great favor and at the same time do the court a favor. When you log in, your phone or whatever device you're connecting with, if you'll put your name in there, then I can identify you and I can call your case a lot sooner. So I always call people that I know first. Otherwise, I'm just guessing to who people are when they're logged in, okay?
Yes, sir. For some reason, I've got a new iPhone from work and it didn't ask me to put in my name. It's already got my account profile, so it didn't have a spot for me to put it for some reason.
Okay. All right. This is cause number CR 20-311, State versus Tiffany Lee Stevenson. We're set for pretrial today. Go ahead, Mr. Manning.
Yes, Judge. We don't have any contested pretrials. We'd ask that we set for a plea. I received a new offer from the state today or recently, and I'd like to convey that with my client, but I believe we will accept.
Well, I'm not going to set it for a plea until we get confirmation from the defendant. So I'll set it for docket call. And then if we want to enter the plea that date, then we'll enter the plea that date.
Yes, Judge.
Let's set, I've got you coming back. Do you know when you're coming back, Mr. Meany?
I don't currently have an April setting. I believe you handing out the 13th, and I am clear on the 13th.
All right, Ms. Stevenson, the court's going to order you to appear in person in court on April 13th at 9 a.m. for docket call. And if you do reach an agreement with the state and you want to resolve it, we'll resolve it that date. I also am ordering you to report to your pretrial release officer before 4 p.m. tomorrow so you can sign the conditions of pretrial release. All right, Mr. Manning, what's the information about that for you if you have any questions, okay?
Yes, sir. I don't know anything about that, so.
I know. And so Mr. Manning will give you more information, or when you show up at the probation department and ask to speak with a pretrial release officer, they'll give you more information. Basically, what's happening is I'm signing conditions that are going to be attached to your bail in this case. You executed a bond with Roy Brockway Bell Bonds. You've asked for a court-appointed attorney. Mr. Manning's been appointed to you. So now the court's going to have you comply with certain conditions. You're going to report, you're going to make payments towards your court-appointed attorney, Mr. Manning. You're going to pay to report to the pretrial release officer. You'll be drug tested, things of that nature. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So report there before 4 p.m. tomorrow, and Mr. Manning can give you more information if you have questions about it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. You're free to go.
And Judge, I believe that leaves Mr. Cooper.
And let me double check. I don't see Mr. Cooper. These are the following people.
Judge,
And I have Carlton Mitchell, Adrian Crane, Rachel Powell, Skylar Tanner, Ashley Olds, Wendy Paul.
Judge, Mr. Cooper has been in custody of various counties throughout Arkansas and Oklahoma. I lost track of him after last court setting, and I'm unsure, but I believe he still is in custody based on his last status.
And Judge, I just checked and confirmed that our Van-Zant County warrant for him is still active. So we would just ask that he allowed to carry until he's brought back into our custody.
All right. So I'm just going to take him off status until he's back in custody. So we're not going to reset him today.
Yes, Judge.
Once he gets back in custody, then we'll get him reset.
Thank you, Judge.
If you confirm that he is in custody in Arkansas or some other state, if you'll just let us know, then we'll make a note in his file and then we can get him set.
Will do.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge. May I please be excused?
Yes, sir. Good to see you. Thanks.
Thanks.
Mr. Ashworth. Are you there, Mr. Ashworth?
I am, Your Honor.
All right. I appreciate your patience this morning. I really do.
No problem.
You know, getting everybody back in, half Zoom, half in person.
I understand.
A little bit of a chore here.
I understand.
All right. Let me get back to, let me find you here on the docket. Mr. Mitchell is online. Let me bring him in. We're gonna give him a moment to connect to audio. Good morning, Mr. Mitchell. Can you see and hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. All right. And your attorney, Mr. Ashworth, is present in our hearing as well. If you can't see him, you may have to move left or right on your device. This is cause number CR 2349, State versus Carlton, Wendell Mitchell. We're set for pretrial today.
Yes, sir.
Any contested pretrial motions, Mr. Ashworth?
Your Honor, we don't at this time, but I believe we will. There was an issue getting the police report that we didn't get the police report until about 6 days ago. And so I intend to file a motion to suppress, I believe, but I need to sit down with Mr. Mitchell about it and talk to him.
All right. State, is there any objection to the court resetting this for an additional pretrial?
No, Your Honor, he's correct. We did just get this coverage.
Mr. Ashworth, are you available on April 13th?
Checking, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Court will set this for pretrial on April 13th at 9 a.m. Because it is set for pretrial, the court will authorize your client to appear via Zoom today. He's also welcome to come to the courtroom, as both of you are. That day, we will not argue any pretrial motions, Mr. Ashworth. That would be merely the hearing deadline. You got 7 days prior to the 13th to file your pretrial motions. And then on the 13th, we would then discuss, if you want to go forward with those, getting an evidentiary setting. All right, so
Understood.
you won't have to argue them that day. So you'll be authorized to appear via Zoom today, as well as your client for pretrial. Otherwise, you can also appear in court. So Mr. Mitchell, I want you to stay in contact with your attorney and your bondsman in this case, and we'll see you back on April 13th at 9 a.m. And if you're going to appear via Zoom, you can contact the court coordinator prior to that date, and we'll give you the information.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. You're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Mr. Schmidt, we'll try Mr. Tanner again. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to connect. As soon as we get him in, he bounces out. Wendy Paul, yes. Yes, Wendy Paul is there. Ms. Thompson, I'll have you ready to go on Mr. Dickinson next. Mr. Schmidt, no, she's on deck. She's on deck. I've got Miss Paul here. She's just still connecting. I was just trying to tell Miss Thompson I've got her paperwork.
Can't hear or whatever, so it's probably.
Miss Paul can't?
She says she can't.
Okay. Well, right now it says she's connecting to audio, so I'm comfortable going forward. I see her, and then I'll let you convey any information that we need to convey to her. So if she gets connected. All right, this is cause number CR 20352, State versus Wendy Marie Paul, and we're set for pretrial. Are there any contested pretrial motions?
No, there are no contested pretrial motions. However, I would note on the court that Ms. Paul had two indicted felonies. One was indicted with 294, one was in the county court of law. Some months ago, I filed a motion to transfer that cause number to your court. I believe the court signed it. I know that Judge Winters has signed it. I have to go back and check to see if we have, but they're the same date of offense. I don't know how they got split. But that would be FC 20-00012. And what we're trying to do is get those secured together. I'm not certain how that happened, but I'm not sure that we've got pretrial issues on that FC 20-0012.
We've recently found that there were several cases that were sought to be transferred up that we never received notice of. So apparently Judge Winters would sign them. I believe they went to the clerk's office, and there they stayed. So they were never brought up to us. If you'll just let her know which ones you're trying to move up, then she'll go and find them, and we can get the orders. All right, so that one is FC 20-12 is not right for pretrial, you say?
Because I don't think pretrial has been addressed. I do believe though that at the point they're carried together at the same time, we could make the same announcement. I believe the discovery is even for the most part the same.
All right, so let's do this. Let's set Ms. Paul then in CR 2352 for pretrial on the 13th. I'll make a note that we'll be looking for FC 20-12. And if that comes up, then we'll take up pretrial on that case as well. But right now, obviously, it's not in my court. So, And I'll let you relay that information to Ms. Paul. And I'll send her a message at this time that she is free to go. I believe she's in compliance with her pretrial release. I'm going to go ahead and remove Ms. Paul from the meeting at this time. And Mr. Tanner, you may see if he can call in to the Zoom.
I spoke to him this morning. We thought he had it all worked out. I would tell the board that we received an offer this morning. I suspect we want to take that. I haven't related to him yet. And we would ask for the doc call once his case is called. And then I would ask the court for permission to go back to my office and appear via Zoom once I get things squared away.
Go ahead. That sounds good. All right, Ms. Thompson. Craig Dickinson. All right, Mr. Dickinson, this is cause number CR 20-330. I'm going to place you under oath, sir, if you'll raise your right hand. Sir, do you swear that the testimony you give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may put your hand down. Mr. Dickinson, are you a United States citizen?
Sir?
Are you a United States citizen?
Yes, sir.
Do you read, write, and speak English?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you ever been diagnosed with any type of mental condition?
No, Your Honor.
In this case, you're represented by your attorney, Ms. Thompson. Are you pleased with her representation of you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you feel like you've had enough time to talk with her about your case and have all of your legal questions answered?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there anything about this case that the paperwork that you signed, that you've reviewed, that you do not understand?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Thompson, do you believe your client to be competent today?
Your Honor, he is competent.
And you've explained to him his legal and constitutional rights?
I did, Your Honor.
And it appears that the plea agreement in this case is that to the charge of enhanced state jail felony, possession of controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than 1 gram, is that Mr. Dickinson is going to plead guilty to that in exchange for a recommendation of 5 years TDC, $2,500 fine, $180 restitution, with several cases being dismissed under section 1245. In addition, Mr. Dickinson would be pleading true to both of the state's enhancement paragraphs. There would also be court costs, restitution, and reimbursement fees with 24 days credit towards a sentence. Is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
That is my understanding, Your Honor.
Yours as well, Mr. Dickinson?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Dickinson, the charge of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 less than 1 gram is a state jail felony offense that carries a range of punishment of not less than 6 months or more than 2 years in prison. However, the state has alleged a couple of previous convictions in your case. And if those are found to be true, it would enhance the punishment range in your case to that of a 3rd-degree felony offense. And that 3rd degree carries a different range of punishment. That's not less than 2 years TDC or more than 10 years TDC, and a fine not more than $10,000. You understand that change in the range of punishment?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so understanding that, let me ask you, Mr. Dickinson, how do you plead to possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 less than 1 gram?
Guilty.
And how do you plead to the enhancement paragraphs contained in the indictment? Would you tell me those enhancement paragraphs are true or not true?
True.
And both paragraph 1 and paragraph 2 are true, is that correct?
I'm not sure. Yes, Your Honor.
Well, and I want to make sure that you understand. In paragraph 1, the state's alleged that you were convicted in Wood County in July of 2017 for possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 2. And then in paragraph 2, they've alleged that you were also convicted in Wood County for possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 greater than 1 gram on the same date. Both of those true? Okay. All right. Then the court will accept Mr. Dickinson's plea of guilt to the primary offense and pleas of true to the enhancement paragraphs. And Ms. Thompson, is there any objection to states 1, the stipulation of evidence?
No, Your Honor, no objection.
All right, states 1's admitted into evidence, and the court takes judicial notice of Mr. Dickinson's plea of guilt and his pleas of true. Is there anything further from the state?
Judge, I just want to make sure that the record reflects that there is a cause being taken into consideration. State is additionally agreeing to reject newly received charges. I believe there are 2 state jails that occurred on or about February 10th of this year that the state has received. We are rejecting those cases for further prosecution, taking them into consideration with the formation of this plea as well.
Thank you, Mr. Woodward. Anything further from the defense, Ms. Thompson?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Take just a moment to review the evidence, Mr. Dickinson. All right, the court's review of the evidence. Court finds that there is sufficient evidence to convict Mr. Dickinson of this charge. The court will follow the plea agreement between the defendant and the state. Court hereby convicts Craig William Dickinson Jr. of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1 less than 1 gram. Court finds that the enhancement paragraphs are true. Court thereby assesses his punishment in accordance with the enhanced range of punishment of 2 to 10 at 5 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division. Court assesses a $2,500 fine, $180 restitution, $290 court cost, and $55 reimbursement fee. Court awards Mr. Dickinson 24 days credit for the time that he has spent in jail towards his sentence in this cause. Court dismisses under section 1245 CR 20382, possession of controlled substance, DA 2020-263, possession of controlled substance, and DA 2020-264, theft of property, $2,500 but less than $30,000. All right, Mr. Dickinson, you're hereby remanded to the custody of the Van Zandt County Sheriff so we can carry out the terms and conditions of your sentence. Have you come up here with my bailiff to do fingerprinting? Ms. Thompson, if you'll approach. Double check my math on that. Is that right? Double check my math on that. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Thompson, is that all you have?
The range,
Oh, you do? Okay.
those Sanchez,
Okay. All right, Mr. Sanchez? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Knoll, I'll call you next. Is she aware? All right, thank you, Ms. Thompson. All right, this is cause number CR 2362, State versus Joe Luis Sanchez Jr. We're set for arraignment today. Go ahead, Ms. Thompson.
Your Honor, we have received a copy of the indictment. His name is spelled correctly. He does understand on his charge with purposes of today hearing. There's a plea of not guilty. I'm waiting the reading of the formal indictment. Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Court will enter Mr. Sanchez's plea of not guilty into the record, and the court will set this for pretrial hearing. Do you believe April 13th would give you enough time to review discovery and file any pretrial motions, Ms. Thompson?
Yes, sir, I think so.
All right. Mr. Sanchez, I'm going to order you back before the court on April 13th at 9 a.m. Okay. Stay in contact with Ms. Thompson and your bondsman. All right. And Ms. Thompson is going to give you a piece of paper to sign here, and you'll be free to go. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate your patience. I'm sorry, Mr. Knoll. I thought you had 3 or 4 clients today, and you just have one, and he's not here today, correct?
Judge, that is correct. Apparently, he is in the hospital, and I filed a motion yesterday. I did not at that time have the letter from the doctor's office, which eventually it was here this morning. I actually emailed a copy of that to Patty, and I have it here.
I have it.
Okay. I guess by way of a little bit further information, apparently he's got, if I remember the numbers, the heart is working at about 30% capacity this time. I'm not sure when he's going to get out. We could just get, I don't know, a pretrial, another pretrial, maybe a month out or so. I have not, he and I have talked about the cases, but we have not had a sit down meeting due to his inability to do so far.
All right. And cause number CR 2355 and 359, State versus Byron J. Byron Riddle. Court will set pretrial on April 27th. I didn't check with you, Mr. Knoll. You have any conflicts on the 27th?
That should be fine, Your Honor.
Try to set it out a little bit further for you.
Thank you.
We'll also take up his health status, his hospital status that day.
And you did say the 27th?
Yes, sir. 27th at 9 a.m.
Okay. And I did file motions on each case. I think they're sitting in the queue there somewhere. I don't know why they haven't been accepted, but they were filed at about, I think about 2:40 yesterday. I kept waiting on the letter to get here, but it got here late.
No problem. Sorry to keep you waiting. I thought you had a couple of clients today. So.
That's okay, Judge. I've done it now. I've done about 240 Zoom miles.
Zoom miles. Do we get anything for Zoom miles?
I don't think so. Van Zandt County, Wood County, and Gregg County this morning.
We need to get some kind of like Zoom miles. I might be able to travel around the world by now.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Do you have anything this afternoon, Mr. Knoll?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right. Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Mr. Schmidt, any luck with your clients?
Judge, I talked to him a minute ago. He said he was logged in or logging in.
All right, I see a phone number. Could that possibly be him?
It could be, you tried the phone contact.
Let's try that.
Calling me right now, Judge.
Mr. Tanner, are you there, sir?
Can you see it?
Can you hear me at all?
Okay, hold on a second. Judge, he claims he's on the meeting phone call, the 346-248 number. I don't know. I haven't tried that. I don't know what
Yeah,
that.
I brought, there's only one
Oh,
phone.
That sounds like him.
Mr. Tanner, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I thought it hung up.
That's all right. All right, Mr. Tanner, this is Judge Chris Martin. We are appearing in court today, and I'm going to allow you to appear via phone today. This is cause number CR 20-312, State versus Skylar Matthew Tanner. We're set for docket call today. Any announcements, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, Judge, we received an offer from the state this morning. Mr. Tanner hasn't had an opportunity to hear about the plea offer. I suspect that we'll likely accept that offer. If we could set it for a docket call, that may, if the court will entertain a plea, we can do that if we get everything organized by then.
Any objection from state? All right, court sets Mr. Tanner then for docket call on April 13th. Mr. Tanner, I'm going to order that you appear in person at the courthouse that day at 9 a.m. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, this will be the only notice that you get. You need to stay in contact with your bondsman and your attorney. We'll see you on April 13th.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're free to go. Does that wrap you up, Mr. Schmidt?
I do believe it does, Judge.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate your help on that.
Thank you. Have a good day.
See ya. All right. Miss Roden, I'm still waiting for Mr. Steele to log in. He hasn't logged in. He said he was going to be late about 10:30, so he's about 30 minutes later than he thought he would be. So we're waiting to hear from him. And let's see, who else do I have? Do I have Miss Rankin? Miss Rankin, if you'll step up. All right, this is CR 2354, State versus Tiffany Ann Rankin, and we're set for arraignment today. Miss Rankin, have you hired an attorney to represent you?
I have a appointment with Nolan White on Wednesday, but other than that, if I could sign up for a council, that would be great. I don't know, I know last time I had talked to you, I was supposed to have a lawyer. And I set up the appointment and I was supposed to see him Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
Could you not get an appointment before your court date?
It was kind of, I've been dealing with so many other things. I honestly, I had a miscarriage on Monday and I have this rash, really bad rash all over me. You can see it. It's all over my legs. It's spreading all over me. I just have, minor, I'm sorry. But if I could even sign up for counsel, if that's what you'd rather me do, I'll do that.
Well, court-appointed counsel works like this. If you meet the financial guidelines, you would have court-appointed counsel given to you. If you don't meet the financial guidelines, then the court's going to require you to hire an attorney. So if you haven't done that and you want to do that today, then you can fill out a form with Ms. Taberham here, and we can look at your financials, and she can tell you whether you will or you won't meet.
I do have that appointment, and I have all the money to give to him.
How much money do you have?
He wants half up front.
I know. How much money do you have to give to him?
15.
1,500? Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll reset your hearing today, and I'll give you more time to meet with Mr. White, because that would be, the court would be interested in having Mr. White represent you. I'm going to reset you for April 13th. So I'm going to give you about 30 days. All right, so you meet with Mr. White, get him retained. Do what he needs you to do to retain him so he can come in here and you can work on your case. Okay, so I'm gonna fill out a form here. Ms. Tabraham's gonna bring you this form and you sign that, you'll get a copy and then you'll be free to go. So go ahead and have a seat and she'll bring that to you in a moment, all right? Has she signed her conditions yet?
She has not.
And Ms. Rankin, before you leave, Ms. Tabraham's gonna bring you this form, you sign that. Once she gives you that yellow copy, then I want you to report up here to Ms. Burns and she's gonna have some more paperwork for you and give you further instructions, okay? Has anyone heard from Mr. Ashmore? I have Rachel Powell, and she's logged in.
She may not be. On my document, shows that she's on there.
All right, Ms. Powell, I'm gonna give you a moment to get connected to audio.
Where? Hello? Hello?
Ms. Olds, can you see and hear me okay?
I can hear you and see you. Yes, sir.
Okay, give me just one moment while we're getting your attorney connected.
All right.
Just with us. Mr. Crane, can you see or hear us at all?
I'm now unmuted. I can see you and I can hear you.
All right, excellent. All right, thank you. Let me flip over here to your case real quick. I appreciate your patience.
Sure.
Get over here. All right, this is cause number CR 2302 versus Ashley Olds, and we're set for docket call today with both Mr. Crane and Ms. Olds appearing via Zoom. Is there going to be a plea agreement in this case, Mr. Crane, or is there any other type of announcement?
No, well, first of all, there's no other type of announcement. I would love to get a plea agreement together with the state. The problem, though, is that my client is on parole. And so we're very hesitant to rush into anything or to sign anything that would result in her being revoked on her parole. So if the prosecutors can work with me on, say, a conditional dismissal or her going to whatever classes he wants or she wants her to go, or do whatever, I think that might be a way we could have justice served. I'm not anxious to go to trial in this case or to set this case for trial. I'd rather keep working with the prosecutors to try to work something out.
State, any announcements?
I believe if we reset this,
Come to the podium so he can hear you.
Judge, I believe if we reset this for another docket call, we can work with this old attorney and extend with them as far as the role, see what can work out best for them in the interest of justice.
All right, so what I'll do, Mr. Crane, is I'll set one additional docket call. We'll set that. Are you available on April 13th?
Yes.
All right, so Ms. Olds, I'm going to order you to appear in court in person on April 13th at 9 a.m. And we'll have our final docket call. And so that day, either there will or there will not be an agreement state. If there is, great, we can enter the plea that day. We can set another day. If there's no plea agreement, then the court will be forced to just set it for a jury trial so that I can't get involved in the plea bargaining and do those things. Either we will have it agreed or we won't. So that'll be the deadline in this case. So April 13th at 9 a.m. we'll see you in court, Ms. Olds. Okay, do you understand? You can just raise your hand if you understand. All right. The court acknowledges Ms. Olds has indicated understands that she's due back on April 13th. You're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crane. All right, Ms. Roden, Mr. Steele has logged in, so.
Judge, my apologies. I just spoke with Casey Ashmore's office and they're logging in now.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Roden, if you'll come up, I'll get Mr. Steele. Good morning, Mr. Steele. Can you see and hear me okay?
Yeah, good morning, Judge. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. All right, this is cause number CR 2357. This is State versus Cleela Roden, and we're set for arraignment today. Are you ready for arraignment, Mr. Steele?
Yeah, Judge, we'll waive any further arraignment and enter a plea of not guilty at this time.
All right, and is her name spelled correctly in the indictment?
Yes, Judge.
All right, the court will enter Ms. Roden's plea of not guilty into the record, and we'll set this for pretrial. Are you available on April 13th, Mr. Steele?
That'll work for me, Judge.
All right, so Ms. Roden, you're due back before the court on April 13th for pretrial at 9 a.m. And Mr. Steele, if there's any requests for your client to appear via Zoom that day, you can let me know, okay? So the court on pretrial dates is going to really allow the utilization of Zoom to make things easier. So if she needs to appear via Zoom that day, let me know. Of course, counsel, you'll always be able to appear via Zoom.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Judge. Have a good day.
Hang on, Mr. Steele.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, Mr. Steele, you're free to go. Thank you, Ms. Roden. Have a seat, and Ms. Tabraham is going to bring this notice of resetting, that yellow copy. Then have you met with the pretrial release officer yet today? You have, and so. Okay, I want you to report with them again today to discuss delinquency money, okay? You did? Check with them, and then they'll let you go, okay?
Yeah, Judge, she told me she made a payment. So hopefully she's paid up.
I'm going to have her double check with
okay.
Release. If they're good, then they'll let her go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. Appreciate it. Joe, I think that's all we have in court today. I think he's with Miss Roden, and you're with Schroeder. Are you with Schroeder? Okay, so okay. Okay, I think I just got one more and it's online. Who do I keep hearing here? Okay, here, let me talk to her. Well, and that's what Miss Heisel said, that she may have gotten out of jail and wasn't aware. All right, Miss Powell, can you hear me and see me okay? You can just shake your head if you. Good. All right, we're just waiting for your attorney, Mr. Ashmore, to get logged in. So he's doing that here in just a moment. So just what you got. I'm going to turn off your microphone and turn off your camera. And okay. Whenever he gets logged in, I'll prompt you to back up, or I'll ask you to start back up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then just find somewhere where it's nice and quiet, where you can put your phone down and it'll be real still. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. That lady didn't used to work for him. Right? So it was her. Did she get charged too? He was the one that was like, had a photo of somebody. Okay. Of her. She was like, no, just pretrial docket call. I'm gonna make them get here so that we can pressure them. But I think pretrial, I'll let them, that'll keep occupancy down here. And a lot of times we don't do anything other than no pretrial. Yeah. Evidentiary will make them come. Arraignments, arraignments, I really don't care. Depends on what they want to do. If they're wanting to just talk with you, then they need to be here, probably in person.
Just reminding me.
Morning, Mr. Ashmore. Can you hear me okay? Looks like Mr. Ashmore is having some technical difficulties himself. Let's get help. Mr. Ashmore, can you hear me at all? This is Judge Martin.
Hey, Judge. Sorry.
All right. It's okay. All right. Let's go ahead and call this case CR 20-224 versus Rachel Leanne Powell. And we're set for pretrial today. Any pretrial motions, Mr. Ashmore?
We have filed kind of a placeholder pretrial motion. We don't anticipate there's going to be any contested matters. We do have an offer. I haven't had a chance to visit with Ms. Powell about it. I tried to reach her, and I think we got some bad information on our end with her contact information. The offer from the state is 2 years TDC, institutional division, or 4 years probation, community supervision with a $4,000 fine. We just asked the court for another setting so we can have some opportunity to visit with our client about this and try to get this matter resolved.
All right, there being no pretrial motions, are you available on the 13th, April 13th? All right, are you back with us?
Mm-hmm. I am. Yes, that works, Judge. Thank you so much.
Okay, so you're good for April 13th.
Yes, Judge.
Ms. Powell, then I'm going to set you for docket call on April 13th at 9 a.m. I'm going to order you to appear in court in person on that day, and we'll take up your case. And either we'll reach an agreement, you'll reach an agreement with the state, or you can tell the court that you want a trial, and then the court will set you for a trial on that date. All right. So stay in contact with your attorney, Mr. Ashmore, with your bondsman, pretrial release officers, and you are free to go.
Thanks, Judge. And I'm sorry about the confusion. We had this as an afternoon jail docket, so forgive me.
That's okay. Ms. Heisel had indicated that. So if it was set, she must have gotten out of jail. So
yeah.
Do you have anything set this afternoon?
No, Your Honor. That's it for me.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
All right. That's it. Docket, but we're going to make an announcement on the afternoon docket. All right, Mr. Wood. Oh, he's still connecting. All right, Mr. Wood. Yeah, I'm going to give you a minute to get still there.
Yeah, you got me.
Had to get some Dramamine. All right, so let's just go ahead and we'll make a record on this. CR 2198 and 199, State versus Brett Lawrence Turnage, set for 1:30 this afternoon. I think we had a status on Russ State Hospitals, what my docket says. What do you have for us on that?
Judge, it's my understanding that he's still waiting for a bed. I've not been able to get a hold of anybody that would tell me, when that bed would come open. I don't know if Mr. Woodwhite possibly knows, but that's kind of where we're at.
So he's still in Van Zandt County custody, just waiting for placement at a state hospital bed?
That's my understanding. We don't have any contact with Russ State Hospital. I can try to make a phone call, see if I can make an announcement to the court this afternoon, but we don't generally have those kind of estimates.
Okay, yeah, you'll do that, and we'll reach out from the court.
Judge, has there been anybody else in custody that's been sent to Russ? Or?
It's been quite a while. I'm not sure that I know off the top of my head. I think we may have had one a year and a half back, potentially, but it's been so long I couldn't speak intelligently on it.
Well, that's my life right there, Judge. But well, I usually just speak anyways.
When did he get his order of commitment to Russ?
It's been a while, man. It's something that I'm kind of getting a little antsy about. I don't know if I've had anybody that's sat in county waiting for a bed to open up this long. So, but with COVID and with everything like that that's going on, I don't know what they're. I don't know what their procedures are right now.
All right, so what we'll do is I will have my staff send an email to Rusk and to the sheriff's office and see if we can get a status from either one.
Yeah, because I think once he gets down there and gets on his meds, we can probably do something.
Okay.
I will endeavor to do so as well, see if we can combine, figure something out.
Okay. All right, Mr. Wood. So you won't need to make an appearance this afternoon. If we get additional information, then we'll just forward that from the court. I'm sure Mr. Woodwhack will be in contact.
Yes.
Okay.
And let's go ahead. Let's just set this for another status. Let's set it out. Do you know what your May calendar looks like, Mr. Wood?
I mean, Judge, we can set it in May. I can work around some things if I need to.
Let's set it for May 11th. Just a status on May 11th.
Okay. Hopefully he's not still there May 11th.
We're all over that.
Yes. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, Judge. Okay. Good to see you both.
See you. All right, that concludes the court's AEM docket. The court will stand in recess until 1:30 for the jail docket, and it will be broadcast on Zoom. Same time, same channel.